Hi everybody, it's Claire with another art journal video. This one is a bit late going up. It's my first Scrap FX project for November. Couldn't remember what month it was then for a moment. And I'm just playing on a small tag in the Scrap FX Craft Junk Journal Kit. Sometimes you don't want to play on a big page, and this is the perfect space for just a quick project, really, a quick page using some of the new stuff from Scrap FX for November. So I'm starting off adding some black gesso onto the page, just to get something on the background, and then I'm going to start adding some other bits in. So I'm using quite a dry brush for this, so the only moisture on the brush is from the gesso, and I'm just spreading that around onto the tag. Then this is the transparency called She Phrases. It is from Scrap FX, and I'm just using one of these. I'm going to stick a piece of it over the background. So this is to add a little bit of interest onto the background to start off with, and I quite like how the transparency adds a different quality to the page as well. Obviously it catches the light, as you can see. There's a little bit of a glare from the light while I'm filming. So I'm just cutting it to size here, and then I am just going to staple that in place. So the Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher is great for little jobs like this. If you haven't got one, you should definitely try and find one. It's really useful. The staples are also just like a little bit smaller than a regular staple, so they're quite handy for little projects in art journals. So then I'm using one of the medium tags. This is also from Scrap FX, and here I am starting off with some, I think this is marine paint, which I am adding on to the tag. I'm finding that some of my bottles of paint have got a bit blocked in the nozzle, and the easiest way to deal with it is just to pop the nozzle out and just use it without that in there. The paint does come out if you give your bottle a good tap onto the surface that you're using, and then obviously when it gets to the point where there's not much paint left, you can just sort of snip into the bottle and then you can get the paint out. So yes, I'm starting off with marine for my first layer on my background. So next I'm using the graffiti text stencil with some turquoise paint, just to get a little bit of text onto my background, and I'm using a dabbing motion with the blending tool, just so that in some areas I get a more opaque covering of paint than in others. And this just kind of adds to the variation in the background, gives it a little bit more interest too. Okay, so then I'm going in with some splatters of white paint. And that just has the effect of kind of breaking up the background a bit. And then I decided I would add some to the transparency as well. Quite like how that looks. So then obviously if you're going to heat dry the transparency, you've got to be a little bit careful. I just tend to put the heat tool on the lower setting so it's not quite as fast. And that works perfectly fine. So then I've just mixed a little bit of blackberry, it might even be orchid, with a bit of white, and I'm just painting that onto the wings on the Frida doll, which is the mini Frida dolls by Danny Schultz. This was a new product for November from Scrap FX. Makes a lovely focal point on a page. So I'm just adding a bit of colour here, just as a contrast to the other colours that are going on the page. So then I'm using a Neocolor 2, and I'm just adding a little bit of pink onto the cheeks, which I did water activate as well. So these are the love tags. These are also from Scrap FX. They're just little words on pieces of chipboard and are great for adding on to a little project. You can just easily add them on by stapling them in place. Then I'm just using a watercolour circle that I've created. I've got a little stash of these lined up for just points when I think they might be quite useful to add onto a page. And I'm going to stick onto that a scribble circle word transparency, one of the circles from that, as my text on my page. So I'm using a bit of Dina's Ultra Thick Gel Medium just to stick some of these things down into place, just to anchor them firmly to stop them popping off. And the Ultra Thick Gel Medium works really well with the transparencies because it does dry clear and you can't see it once it's dry at all. So yeah, that's quite a useful tool to have if you're going to be playing with transparencies in your journal. So I've stuck the scribble circle transparency onto the watercolour circle, and then I'm going to stick that down onto my page. And I'm just going to use a glue stick to stick that in place. And the glue stick will work fine because some of it is going to be stuck onto the edge of the tag as well. And then I'm using the Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher to stick the word cherish, which is one of the love tags, in place on my page. And that really is it for this page. It's a really a quick page on a small tag. Sometimes it's nice just to create small, and it's almost kind of creating like a little assemblage, I guess, using different elements of collage, but nonetheless still fun to do. So I'm just adding a bit of ribbon onto the top of the tag as well, making that look incredibly difficult. It really isn't. I think the first time I did it, I did pull a little bit too hard and I actually ripped the top of the tag, so I had to staple it just to hold that in place while I fastened it through. So apologies that this video is late. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this mini assemblage in my craft junk journal kit. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.